Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back. I know we weren't here last week. That's my fault. For those that don't know, I got hit with the Rona, so
How dare you?
it took me out last week. Took my voice from me. I was actually going to do the show, but I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't speak, but I can now. I am Javon Stokes, creator of Heat and Strong, CEO and founder of Visually Stoked Media. This is Jamari Stokes, writer, educator, and this is a Stoked Podcast. And welcome back. I'm so happy to see you guys for the people who show up. And Jamari, welcome. Good to see you again. I know I hit you with that last minute. I can't talk.
You got to
We
take care
can't
of
do this
yourself.
show.
You got to take care of yourself. I know what it means. So
we,
I have a vested interest in you not being,
I'd hope so. I hope you don't want me to die. Yeah, COVID is no joke, y'all. Like in all honesty, like that was a really rough time. I had fatigue. I had fatigue. I had coughing. I had a weird, like almost like it was bad. It was bad. But I'm here now. I'm looking forward to the show. We got a great guest. Before we get into it, real quick, I was at Terrificon 2 weeks ago. I had a great time, very productive. Excuse me. Very productive, very fun. Got to network, got to sell some books. A lot of books actually. I did over 100 books for the weekend. So, it was really good. And tomorrow I will be at Fan Expo Boston. Hopefully we can duplicate it and have another great weekend because, got to do this Comic-Con thing, even though I'm still recovering from COVID. Let me take my glasses off. I'm tired of that stupid glare. But yeah, if you are in Boston, if you're near Boston, come holler at me. We'll talk. Come buy a book. All right, so let's get into it. Let's not keep this man waiting. Tonight's guest is a prolific writer and entrepreneur. Having established his own comic book label, Dark Moon Comics, he's either written, created, or both a slew of titles, including Black Spartan, Reign of Chaos, and Michael. On top of that, he co-funded and is the CEO of Generating Income for Tomorrow, a nonprofit that looks to close the Kansas City racial wealth gap. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Let's give a Stoked Podcast round of applause for Brandon Calloway.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Hopefully I brought you in. I hope I brought you in well enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Now, for those that might be like, oh, man, I've seen his face. I just did an interview with him. Like he interviewed me.
Yeah.
What, like maybe 3-4 weeks ago? Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah, I think so.
And we had a good conversation. I was like, all right, man, we could do this again. So, once I saw what the man had to offer, I was like, all right, let's bring him in.
It's always a good sign, when I you have somebody on and then they actually want to keep engaging with you. Versus they're like, oh yeah, let's not mess with that brother ever again.
Oh yeah, if I want to talk to you, I'd be like, that was fun.
Yeah.
See you around. Take care.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, man, I'll holler at you sometime.
Yeah. We'll holler. All right. So, as always, when I do these meetings or interviews with people who are in comics or around comics, I always ask the same question. Mm-hmm. When did your love of comics begin?
When did my love of comics begin? So I am not the one that was like, oh, I grew up reading comics and all of that. My comics love it really started with anime over like your regular traditional Marvel or DC, which I do love, still do love those too. But probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5-ish years ago. So super uh recent when I got into reading manga.
Right.
And so, One Piece, if you guys are, I'm assuming you're familiar with how long One Piece is.
I am the resident anime manga person here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna direct all questions, anime based questions, to the man below me.
yeah. And so, like I started watching One Piece. I got caught up with One Piece, and I was like, "There's no way
That's
I am."
impossible to be caught up with One Piece.
No,
There will always be 100 more chapters.
They about to finish it. They about to finish it in the next 3 to 5 years. So, but I got caught up with One Piece, and I was like, "There's no way I'm waiting like on a weekly basis to watch these new ones." And so I started reading One Piece, and then I started reading Demon Slayer, and then I started reading what is it? My Hero Academia. And then I actually did make my transition over to to Marvel and DC, and I started with Thor: God of Thunder and the Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther, and so it just kind of like it snowballed into a whole thing. So yeah, it all started with One Piece.
Okay, all right. So, do you already answered what title?
Too many
like
questions, my bad.
No,
man.
you good. I like when you answer my questions. Do you find yourself liking more anime, or like right now? Do you like more anime or mainstream American comics?
I'm always gonna gravitate to more anime. I but my challenge with comics is that like it's not never, but it's not usually a super straight line, right? Like if I want to read Batman #1, like which one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I like I like the more mainstream traditional stuff, and like Thor: God of Thunder, right? Like that was a really dope run. I kind of regretted reading it because I watched Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
I was like, man, I wish I would have never learned about gore, so I couldn't be upset with watching Thor: Love and Thunder. But anyway,
No, I hear you.
and so, so not saying that I didn't like the movie. I understand why people don't.
But see, I would say this though. I feel like because I've read that same run. I have that same run right now. Me and you probably were reading it around the same. Actually, that's not true. I started reading that run like early last year, and I started getting it real quick because Marvel has these thick, trades for them.
Yeah.
They have like I think it's like 5 of them. So I read the entire run. The original comics aren't exactly like. They're not like flush with a lot of stuff. It's just him. They're just fighting. Like it's almost like a Dragon Ball Z cartoon. Like they're fighting for like a good majority of it.
Yeah, I mean, so because one of the things, and I hope we're not spoiling stuff. But
I mean, it's been long enough.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, and I'm interested in the fact that your big foray into the Western comic side is Thor, because I think you're the first person that started saying, "Oh, Thor was my intro in, or was my big intro."
Yeah, I mean, I've always even in like the cartoons and stuff, like I've always liked Thor. He's always been my favorite Avenger. I used to be a power lifter. It's like this big meathead stuff. So I'm like Hulk, Thor, yes, like that. Like I've always been that. But with God of Thunder and then Love and Thunder, Like the first few minutes of Love and Thunder, it was like Gore has the Necro sword. I was like, bro, it was a while before we figured out like what was really like what was going on, like what was the weapon that Gore had.
Well, they got to move things faster.
I know, and so I was like, I can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
I understand, but part of like my enjoyment in reading it was like, yo, what is this dude? What he got? Like, how is he just destroying all of these gods? And in like 2 minutes, it was like, oh yeah, he found the Necro sword. It's a weapon that kills gods, and now he about to go and run wild with it. Like, oh well, shit. That was like that was like half of the run.
I feel you. So, how do I put this? Let's take it from another thing. How did you get from I like One Piece, I like anime, let's check out this mainstream stuff, to I want to make my own books?
Oh yeah. So I mean, really, me and a friend was literally just sitting around one day talking about how dope it would be to like make our own worlds, right? And one of the things that, like, when we were talking about that, a thing that constantly bothered me is that when you're as a fantasy writer, you can write literally whatever you want, right? You can have a world full of walking, talking giant octopuses. Like, you could do that.
Right.
But we don't often see a worlds full of predominantly Black people where like their Blackness isn't a like a plot device.
Right.
Just like
they are just who they are.
Yeah. Right. Like, it just so happens that the majority of the population, if not 100% of the population, is Black. Right. Cool. Let's move on. And so I thought that I don't know, that stuck with me. I just thought I still think that's kind of weird. And so when we were talking about how cool it would be to create our own worlds, if I get an idea, I'm kind of like obsessive about it, and so I was like, pretty sure I can make it happen. And so I dove in, and it took me. I spent 2 years learning how to do world building, learning how to write compelling stories, how to write a protagonist, how to write an antagonist, how to build cultures, how to build religion. Like, I just spent a lot of time learning how to write.
Right.
And then once I did that, I connected with Jay Allen. So shout out to Jay Allen, 2923 Comics. He's here in Kansas City too.
Okay.
And he showed me like his structure and how he writes scripts. And so, I had this time that I spent learning how to write. He put it all together for me to just like show me how he structured his scripts, and it was in a way that I could like that worked for my brain. Because like in comics, there is no, and y'all know this, there's no one way to write a script.
Right.
And so once I did that, I just went with it.
Okay. See, I had to get some of the images up.
Yeah.
These are this is a Black Spartan, right?
Yeah. So Black Spartans is it's a whole hunter guild. It's a world of like monsters, demons, mythical creatures. Then there's these group of people called hunters, and the hunters go from one city to the next, and they get paid to deal with whatever mythical creatures bug in their city that day. And so it's the quickest way I explain it is a mix of One Piece, Bleach, and The Witcher.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty interesting. Mix. Yeah. What I do find interesting is everybody who's been on our show who does the entrepreneurial route. It's like everybody's origin story is kind of the same, especially minorities. It's like, I want to see more Black people, so I made more Black people. I need to see more Black people, so I made more Black people. And I find it interesting because I just finished watching the Milestone documentary, and if you haven't watched it, it is fabulous. Like,
yeah, it's definitely on my list.
oh, it's really good. I've seen like a million um documentaries for
Mhm.
Milestone, and they always entertain me, tell me something I didn't know. But just the the way that they talked about it, and spoiler alert, but the way that they talked about, like, it was almost like people were in their minds were like the audacity of these black men to make books with characters with black faces. Like, it was like the audacity of you. How
Yeah,
dare you?
yeah,
And I just it's and I remember the way the industry was back then. Like, it really was um it really was it was a white boy. It was a white boy club, man. Hold on, let's see. What does Noble say? I remember my friend Alonzo Washington has Omega Man comics and Ania, and I think he originated in Kansas City. Not sure if it's Kansas or Missouri side. He started in the early '90s, actually before Milestone dropped. Okay, all right. He trying to give you some shine, give your city some shine.
yeah, yeah.
I got
Are
some
you
people. I had a couple peoples out there.
are you originally from Kansas City?
Yep. KCMO.
Okay. I'm curious because you got two prominent Georgians in the background on your wall.
Yeah, so I got a bunch of I have a bunch of like different pictures of black people, inspirational black people around my office, uh, and so my job is about like closing the racial wealth gap in Kansas City, uh, and so every now and then I get like uh, in nonprofit, you always have to defend your like your thing, whatever your thing is,
Yes.
and so which means that at some point in time you always get opposition to your thing, right? And so our thing is the racial wealth gap, and so you can imagine how frustrating the opposition is to that. And so sometimes I just need some inspiration,
I
uh,
hear you. I hear you.
because uh, white people be tripping. Like they're like for real.
Be tripping,
Like
man. They do.
they do.
They
They
do be
do.
tripping. So let's talk about your nonprofit. I was gonna get there, but you're doing a very good job of navigating the interview for us. We always appreciate it. This is our first show back, so we probably a little rusty. That's
That was
all
up.
good. I know
No,
I'm
it
rusty.
was
I'm
it was
stuffy as
relevant
heck.
I feel like the conversation is moving.
Yeah.
I'm stuffy as heck. I need to go. I gotta get drugged up, but I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Tell us about your nonprofit. How'd you get started? It's really, I honestly, when you sent me your bio, I was like, that's interesting as hell. Like, I mean, not Screw Your Comics, but I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, that was something I was like, man, I really want to get into. Like, how did you get started? Just go ahead.
Yeah. So the nonprofit is called Gift, Generating Income for Tomorrow. I'm our CEO, but I'm one of three co-founders. And so like we give out grants and technical assistance to black businesses that are in the historically redlined area of Kansas City. Uh, and so you know the sense like the U.S. Census designate 21 cities. They currently have 21 cities designated as hyper segregated. Like they are official designations for these cities, uh, based off of the wealth gap between white people and black people, based off of the home and residential demographics. And so Kansas City is one of 21 like federally designated hyper segregated cities. Uh, and so we focus on getting money to black businesses in the predominantly black areas, so that they can grow and create jobs for the people that live in those areas. So we give out $10,000, $25,000, and $50,000 grants every month. So literally, so I'm in my office right now. I have a grant committee like uh, literally across the hall, looking at probably 100 grant applications right now for the month. Uh, And so every month we give out a $10,000 grant, and then every quarter we do a 25, 25, and a 50. So every month we're giving out $35,000 or $60,000. And it all started from like a Facebook group. One of my co-founders, a guy named Chris Stewart, he was like, man, there's not enough Black businesses in Black communities in Kansas City. There's 15,000 of us right here in this Black business group. If we all put in $10 a month, we can take that money and grow our businesses ourselves. We ain't got to ask nobody. And so I didn't know him when he made that Facebook post. I was just scrolling through Facebook. I saw it. And I sat there for an hour, thought of all the ways that it wouldn't work, and came up with a solution to every last one of them. And at the end of that hour, I reached out to him and said, hey, I don't know you. You don't know me. But I know how to make this a real thing and launch it. And so now we are 2 years in. We've raised, so we're a few months into our third year. We've raised 1.5 million. We've given out to date 747,000 in grant money. This is my full-time job now.
I mean, that's amazing.
That is incredible.
That is amazing, dude. Like the fact that all of this came from literally like one Facebook post that it inspiration on any level interests me. Clearly,
yeah.
I'm doing this show, talking to people, entrepreneurs who've been inspired. God knows how many different ways. I mean, Jamari, how many different ways have we heard, how somebody's business has gotten started? Like, it's never the same.
Yeah.
And, it's great to see you working to help not just your community, but your culture.
Yeah.
Because not many people are about that.
Yeah, our growth has been crazy. I am lucky enough to be the chosen, leader of the organization. But like that brings it's a whole lot of stress.
Always stress being at the top, man.
Whole lot of stress, and like I said, every now and then, like when we first started, we got the whole opposition of like, well, you can't give grants to people. That's not going to motivate them. And we've created 58 new jobs since we started. Like
awesome.
Businesses are growing. They are being motivated. And then Facebook is when we launched. We got called monkeys and all kinds of stuff.
Kansas City. I didn't know Kansas City was like that, man.
Yeah.
I did not know.
Yeah.
My friend Corinda is not from Kansas City, but I know she lived out there for quite a bit. And she never really talked about that. Shout out to Corinda.
It can go really far in both directions. You got the people who are super about let's take action, let's make some change, and you got the thing, we still Missouri, right? Like it's still Missouri. And so while Kansas City is a largely progressive city, we still have all kinds of suburbs that aren't. One of the fathers of redlining was born in Kansas City and piloted it here in Kansas City. He was one of the first. So J.C. Nichols, he was one of the first to create racially restricted covenants that said no person of color can live, in this suburb. You cannot own a home in this suburb if you're a person of color.
Right.
So, yeah, a bunch of racist stuff. But we working on it. We working on it.
I got questions, but I'm gonna let Jamari. I don't want to dominate it. Go ahead, man.
So, what I'm intrigued is when you said you've created, was it over 50 new jobs?
58.
58. So I'm assuming when you say that, these are not only just regular jobs, they're jobs where people are actually owning their jobs instead of simply working for someone straight out as an employee.
No, we're talking. So yes, there's that, but we primarily count like employees that business owner hired.
Okay.
And so them going beyond being a single person,
Operation.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
and them bringing on, like actually we don't count. Like if you go from kind of your own hustle to being full time in your business, that's fine. But our goal is job creation for the community, and so we count like the jobs you create beyond your own. So
Okay.
beyond them
So
just
expanding out to where you actually have a workforce with you.
exactly.
Okay.
So one of the challenges that we have here, so in our inner city, if you wanted to get to a quality paying job, right? Like if there's whether it be an office job or just any type of good economic opportunity, you got to travel pretty far. And we don't have a great public transportation system, meaning that if you don't have a car, you're probably not going to be able to get to a work area that will give you good economic opportunity. And so part of our thought process is that if we are helping businesses grow in the community and create good paying jobs in the community, then we can combat that. And if
Okay.
that grows, the median income levels grow. Poverty related crime goes down because when people don't have stuff, they go get it. They figure it out.
Of course.
And so yeah, it's creating those jobs beyond their own so it can have an overall impact on the uh whole community.
It sounds like you're doing fantastic work. The another thing I would like to ask, because education is near and dear to me, is there also either any plans to or any current outreach where you're working with perhaps at-risk schools as well that are in those same communities? Because I definitely hear the business side,
Mhm.
and that is amazing.
Yeah. So we're not doing that, and we
Okay.
probably will never. Not even probably. We won't ever get into that because it's
Mhm.
just outside of our. There's a lot of work to be done in
Correct.
our lane, and that's far outside of it. And so I have a really good friend of mine. It's funny. His name is Abe Stokes. Uh, so,
You got Kim folk out there.
yeah,
You
for real.
know,
Where
Probably.
you
We
at?
never
Where y'all at?
know.
What state y'all in?
I'm in Connecticut. He's in Georgia.
our family is based out of Ohio.
All
Yeah.
right, Abe from Mississippi. He from Mississippi. Uh, so I don't know.
Never know. We don't
Yeah,
know.
but
We out
he
there. We out there.
about a year after we launched Gift, he launched an organization called Be Great, and they do kind of similar to what we do. They raise money and give grants, but they give grants to schools.
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
so they fund school projects. So like they just funded a multilingual library at one of the inner city schools that largely serve refugees. And so the kids can read books now in any language in the world. Uh, and then we have another organization that we're good partners with called The Future of Us, and they're raising money. They're currently doing high school like college scholarships for high school students, but they don't use like SAT or ACT scores, and so they have a whole different criteria that takes out those the things that have like systemic racism in them that negatively impact minority students, and so we do a lot of work with Be Great to try to do some collective fundraising so we can get more money, they can get more money. The same thing with the Future of Us because like we can't hop into those lanes, but if we're all raising money together and we're all able to
Yeah.
do all the stuff that we're doing at the same time, then it's just
That is
better.
also wonderful because, like you said, you are partnering with these people. You know them right off the bat. So, yes, you are. Yeah, I love to hear it.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
Mhm.
And I've actually had this conversation on Top 5 Live with the guys before about what we did, like top 5 ways to increase Black wealth.
Hmm.
I'm curious. This isn't normally we usually do like a top 5 on this show, this isn't the top five. I'm just really interested in your thoughts on how not you just business owners, well, not just business owners, but the Black community. How do you feel that we can increase our wealth within the community and as Black
Mhm.
people?
Yeah, uh, that's a that's a really good question. That's a really good question. Uh, so few a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
One, so I'm gonna go from a few different avenues, right? So, and the first one is entrepreneurship, because it's the space that I'm in. Uh, I am often talking to, so I'm our primary fundraiser, right? Raising
Mm-hmm.
1.5 million means that uh like you earlier you said like best dressed person on the podcast so far, because I was talking to a lot of rich people today,
Right. You got to pick your circles.
and
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. I got you. I
yeah,
got you.
and so I have had a lot of conversations with a lot of people that have the potential to make power, like they have the power to make decisions that will actually impact uh like Black wealth,
Yeah.
uh and
Okay.
but it will require them to give up some of their own power, and kind of step aside, uh, and there's a large lack of willingness from like white dudes, uh, to give up power and step aside, which means that if we're going to get that power, we have to figure out a way to get it for ourselves.
Right.
And so like here in Kansas City, we have the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, and then we have the
Mm-hmm.
Black Chamber of Commerce. The Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, like they hold so much power.
Right. Right.
And like everybody's a member of the chamber. We are like Gift is a member of the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce, uh, because it's great connections.
Okay.
But there are like the Black chambers don't have the same membership,
Mm.
and because of that, they don't have the same budget, which means that they don't have the same power and they don't have the same influence and they don't have the same ability to create change that the Greater Kansas City chamber has.
Right.
And so all of that to say, one super simple way uh, to impact Black wealth and to increase like the amount of power that we have is for like all of our businesses to actually join their local Black chambers. Uh, by doing that, you increase your chamber. Like, and so you might think, well, if I'm just giving them money, increasing like their budget, like that don't do me no good. But it, if enough people do it, like that's our motto is if 15,000 people donate $10 a month, you know, if enough people actually join that chamber and that chamber garners enough power, who like
Who
just like
benefits?
just like politicians are always pandering to their constituents, the people that keep them in power, the chamber is
Right.
going to be first focused on their members, because
Right.
that gives them power. So there's that. We don't The types of businesses that we start uh are or have a limited amount of scalability often, simply because of the types of things that we have access to. So we do a lot of grant making, which means that we get a lot of grant applications. But when I looked at I looked at 300. We got like 383 applications in year two, and we had either like I want to say 7% uh, was real estate and 2% were tech. Uh, and and like the 14% was like food and human services and retail, and all of
Right.
that's cool. But like real estate and tech are two places that we don't have a lot of Black representation in, and there's potential for money in there. And so if we do both of those things, right? If we are joining the Black chambers and helping them create more power, but also you getting into tech and real estate, that Black chamber still has the power to help you be successful in your tech operation or your real estate operation.
So I want to. Can I say?
Yeah,
it's really
I'm sorry.
interesting. No. You're good. You're good. You're good. And I can't speak.
Yeah, I'm absorbing this.
But I thought what you said was really interesting because it always reminds me of like the sports conundrum, right?
Mhm.
Like when you talk to young people about how to make it, like young boys, a lot of them is like play sports. Like that's their mentality on how to make it. Whereas there's all these other avenues to make money. So you bringing up that it's either food service or
Retail.
such and such. Like it's because I can tell you, I know it's barbershops, restaurants, hair salons.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk to people in the community and they say they're starting a business, it's always like the same like 5 things. And the fact that there's these other avenues that we barely scratch the surface on, like you said, like tech.
Yeah.
Like if for us to have like a strong, and I say us, I say black, I mean black people, because I can't speak for any other culture.
Right.
For us to have like a strong black presence in tech would be
Incredible.
It would literally be a game changer. And we don't have that.
Yeah.
And real estate, I do think there is a little bit more of a groundswell of people becoming, getting into real estate,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's growing, but tech, like I myself, Visually Stoked does graphic design, and I'm trying to get back into animation and everything. To me, these are not avenues that African Americans as a whole populate.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I just think the diversification from a young point of view, like for the young people to understand, like there's so many ways for you to get money.
Yeah.
That have nothing to do with style, food, or
entertainment, or at least entertainment
or sports.
Yeah. And it's about access and exposure, really. Like you're seeing people that look like you do things, or having people around you that are doing things that are outside of the box or different is important. I was listening to NPR, and they had this woman on there. She was a aerospace engineer, and when they were talking to her like about her childhood, her dad was an astronaut, and so like for the past 30 years, every launch, every launch in outer space from NASA, she was actually at. Like she was there when she was like 2 years old with her mom watching her dad launch up in that. Like she had a aerospace engineering, did not run in their family, didn't run in their blood. It was just like she had a high level of access to her dad, all of his co-workers. Like aerospace engineering was like, it's funny because it's like that's the joke. Like, well, this isn't rocket science. She was literally grew up around rocket science.
Right.
So that was her norm, which is the reason that she's an aerospace engineer. So
I mean, like for me, like when I met my wife, she was a project manager. Now I had heard about it. Like, I mean, when we first started dating, I was 30, and I kind of knew I'd heard what a project manager was, but I literally had no clue. And dating her opened up all these doors, and like hearing about project management and developers and back-end developers and front-end developers, and I'm learning all this new stuff. And in my mind, I'm like, who knows? Like, there's so many. There's a kid out there now thinking that the only way he gonna make it is he plays ball.
Yeah.
But if you just say, you ever hear of project management or something like that, he might look, dude. You can make 6 figures.
Yeah.
Live a comfortable life. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. When you said it, it just like, because me and Jamari talk about this all the time.
We do.
So I mean, I run a nonprofit, right? It is my full-time job. It is that like I run a nonprofit. Before we launched Gift, I was a manager of volunteer engagement and donor engagement at United Way. Like I did fundraising and volunteer management as a job.
Right.
And so like so when I met my wife, she was a former executive director of a nonprofit, and had done some fundraising before. And I was like, whoa, that's a job. Like that's a full career. And then I looked into it, and there are college like certifications on nonprofit fundraising. And you know, in program management. I'm like, this is like a whole industry with multiple different avenues that like. And so when as Black people, we often are, and because I'm in nonprofit, I talk about this a lot, but we often are left out of the nonprofit process, except for being the recipient of services. And so it's usually white people who are going to other white people and raising the money, and then another group of white people decide how that money is going to be spent. And even though it's largely spent in Black communities. What'd you say, Jamar?
I said that part because that part where they get to decide where it goes.
Yeah,
and that's a thing a lot of people don't realize.
Exactly. But because of that, like the Black community, largely the Black community, not exclusively, obviously, but largely the Black community sees nonprofit as like, oh, that's that big charity thing over there. And so like they see it as charity. And so it's just, you know, doing good for the community. It's not about making money at all. It's just about doing good for the community. But I mean, if the nonprofit doesn't make money, then it goes out of business and there's no more good to be done. But we don't have that exposure to like the actual processes of nonprofit other than being on the tail end of it. And so
now I have a question. Now I know businesses they apply for this, right? They applying for the funding. Is there any type of education that goes along? Like, okay, you get the money. Now let me help you learn how to use it for your business.
So every time somebody gets a grant from us, we give them a year's worth of business coaching.
Awesome.
So we contract with our accountant, and she becomes their bookkeeper for a year. So we pay her, and they get they get free business coaching, free bookkeeping. We are partnered with one of the biggest law firms here in Kansas City, and so they take them on pro bono and give them like business legal services, and then we pay a small marketing business for like a marketing package for them. So website, logo, social media content. If they're a restaurant and they need new menus, stuff like that. So they get a year's worth of all of that. And along with, so we give them, this $10,000, $25,000 or $50,000 grant. And then on top of that, we pay for all of this other stuff. And then, like I am often like, I'm sitting down talking with people, and if the opportunity comes, so I talked to one of our big grocery stores here. I don't know if you guys have Hy-Vees in y'all city, but and so they're big. They have 21 chain or 21 locations here in Kansas City, and I got a chance to talk to people from their corporate office. And long story short, we ended up making deals with them to get a few of the businesses we gave grants to into Hy-Vee. And so now we got a guy selling, cilantro and rosemary and all these herbs and spices in all 20 stores.
Wow.
So yeah, like they get money, they get all of this, all this technical assistance, as well as any potential connection that we can make. We do.
Man, this is beautiful, man. I mean, I didn't know we was going to, like, I knew we were going to come on and talk, and I was like, we'll talk comic books, but I know we ain't even scratched the surface on that. We'll get there. I'm enjoying this, like, Like I love to hear about I love to hear I love to hear black people helping black people.
Yeah.
Because I know one of the things that you can run into when you're dealing with entrepreneurship is this dog eat dog world. Like,
Yep.
you know, like what is it? The fish in a barrel? Not fish in a barrel.
Crabs in a barrel.
Crabs in a barrel. Where, you know, everybody's trying to claw to the top and they feel like they got to step on everybody else to get there instead of helping each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even something very similar is the comic book industry. Like, I've talked about this on the show before, but I've been blessed to meet so many people doing comic books that look like me.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's really, very few instances. Like, I'm not saying it's all lovey-dovey and everything. Hey, Billy, what's going on, man? I'm gonna be on Billy's show too. He's asked me to be on his show. It's gonna happen. But it, for the most part, it's like, hey, just because your book is selling doesn't mean that my book can't sell too.
Yeah.
And let me help you help, and then by helping you, I'm gonna help me too. And I know a lot of people in the black community, a lot of times they don't feel that way. They feel like, I got to work on me. I got to hustle me. I got to do me. I can't help you. I don't have time to help you. I got to do me. And, you know, to hear, you know, a initiative like yours, where you're literally giving money and help and connections, it's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Like it's a fun thing to yeah, the rap verse for Black Spartans. I went through a bunch of rappers before I got to go. But yeah, like we started off, like I said, I'm one of three co-founders. One of our co-founders is in Texas, and he still lives in Texas. He's from Kansas City, but other co-founder Cornell Gorman, you know, he's our COO, and we started off being just like volunteers for Gift, and building it up, and now we're at a point where we've obviously had some really good growth. We now have 7 total employees. So me and him, and we got 5 other staff. And so the thing that drives us sometimes it's hard for people to believe. I had lunch with somebody and they told me, well, you know, like, if you really are just out here to like help the community, then good for you. And I'm like, what the fuck? What you like?
There's a hate. Why is there so much hate in that? Hey, man.
But like,
if you hear, man.
Well, I mean, I think when we live in a capitalist society, so
yeah.
A lot of people are about that bottom line.
Yeah.
And a lot of people find other ways to get to their bottom line that aren't always the most scrupulous, which might include in your business.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you have seen people who work for certain kinds of nonprofits and organizations that they have a fantastic budget, and the people who work for them are driving really nice cars and everything else, but they're really not putting money in for the people they're doing, which goes back to that whole who's making the decisions where the money goes.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Now, are you also helping them learn about like investment and stuff like that, or?
No. So not because you talking about overall like financial literacy.
Yeah.
So no, we haven't gone. We're not going that far, because that gets into their personal finances, and we try not to blurry the lines, because like the other day we had somebody come in and talk to the lawyer, and they was like, well, yeah, I got this charge, and the lawyer was like, whoa, that's not what we like. This ain't
no.
law. Like, this is business. So we try to keep everything related to business, but we do like we have a partnership with the Greater Kansas City Black Chamber, where after they go through a year, they go through our first year, they are basically handed off to them, and they talk to them about financial planning. They continue with the bookkeeping stuff, and I mean they get another business coach and an industry specific mentor as well. So that they get a little bit deeper into everything financial in that year 2 and 3. But in this first year, we are really hyper focused on building up their business.
Okay. Do you mind if I do you have what's your success rate like?
Success rate. So we have given out so that 747,000, 37 businesses. There are about 3 of them. There's three of them that are no longer in business. And so our success rate is our success rate is
pretty darn good.
Yeah, really? And so out of those, and so the last 2, so the 37, really it's 35 because the last 2 we just gave grants to, like a couple of weeks ago, and so it's not far enough for us to have good data on them yet. So out of those 35, we also I look at their financial reports myself, and so we know and we've seen that they have an average of 304%, 304.7 specifically percent growth in quarterly revenue. And so they are so we look at their quarter right before they got a grant from us, and then their most recent quarter, and compare, how much they're either growing or not growing, and so they are for the most part, most of them are seeing some really, really good growth.
Now, how often how long do you check in, or do you I know you said it's about a year, but after that year, do you kind of periodically reach out, or is there the communication just constant for the most part?
So after that year, we pass them off to the Black Chamber, and the Black Chamber is supposed to take up all of that. So all the stuff that we do, all of that checking in, all of that data collection, that's on them for year 2. But I mean, we've developed really personal relationships with these business owners, and so we're I might not still be looking at their financials, but they'll run into a problem and they'll call me, or we have our chief of business development now who handles most of the stuff business related, or all of the stuff business related really. And so they'll call me or her or Cornell, our COO. So we still have that relationship with them. The other day, I had a bunch of donors over, and I promised them lunch would be provided. And then I was driving to work, and I was like, oh shit, provided by who? And I was like, I said that, but I had made no plans. And so I hit up one of our grant recipients who was a caterer, and I said, hey, can you work magic for me today? And she did. She showed up with food for everybody.
There you go.
So yeah, we still have a good relationship with all of our grant recipients, but we have that 1 year. We check in with them every quarter, but after their full year, they're kind of
right.
Yeah, especially when we bring in 2 new businesses every month.
Yeah. Okay. Jamari, I have a question, but go ahead.
I had it. I'm gonna let you go on, and I'll come back because I want to make sure I get this right. I don't gather my thoughts for a second because I was listening to what you were saying about the follow up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that was. I'm over here ducking and dodging. I think a moth got in my house. So yeah, this has been amazing. Do you have And I know you guys have only been. You said it's been about 2 years, right?
Yep. So we started in May of 2020.
Right?
So we started in May of 2020. So we are literally 2 years and
Some
like
change.
3 months old.
Right. So in your mind, tell me,
Mm-hmm.
do you see gift expanding into different, or different other cities, or are you like strictly focused on Kansas City and you know what I mean?
No, so absolutely see gift expanding into other cities.
Okay.
Right now, we are strictly focused on Kansas City because we're hyper focused in making sure that we actually have impact. Right, like 58 jobs in 2 years is great,
Right.
but if we're really going to make a dent in the racial wealth gap, we gotta raise more money. We gotta give out more money. We have to want to do better, and then two, we have to get gift to a sustainable level where at a minimum we're like every year. So our fiscal year starts in May. So every May, I'm looking at our budget and saying, okay, how do we raise the money to get to like the baseline of what we need every year?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so we need to get to a point where we are every May. I look at our budget and say, okay, I know that we have $2 million rolling in this year, so our budget will be good.
Mm-hmm.
Then like we can put other people in place in Kansas City to let it run and go into another market and begin to build gifts up in that other market. One of the reasons that it works so well in Kansas City is because we built it based on the needs of Kansas City. So we can't just pick it up and put it down in St. Louis uh, because they don't have the same needs. So it would have to be a different the bones of the program will be the same, but there would have to be some tweaks in the implementation that's specific to St. Louis, and that's really heavy and hands-on. And so we can't do that. We can't grow in another market while we are currently building up or creating sustainability in Kansas City. So yeah, absolutely. Like we have plans to expand once we hit that $2 million annual revenue mark.
Awesome. All right, Jamari, go ahead.
So,
I'm going to give this man an opportunity to switch back to talk about his other business. Because now, before you say it, Jamari and I have been talking about this back and forth, and the last time we had a show, I agreed on it, and this is what we're going to do. We did a round table way back, like show 5, I think it was. It was like 5 or 6.
It hadn't been that many nights.
Right, and it was one of our most well-received shows. But it was a round table about the state of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I use that. I don't like, they're not metaphorical. But I did, because I love talking to business owners. I love it. This is why I'm doing the show, because I'm a business owner and I love talking to other ones, picking your brains. We're gonna do a entrepreneurial roundtable.
Oh, that's what's up.
We're gonna do it, and I'm trying to make it through. Like right now, it's in the preliminaries for. Hold on, let me check. What did I say? I was thinking probably the end of September in early October. So we're gonna have you on. This is an invite.
Yep.
So
I'm there. I'm there.
All right. Okay. Go ahead, Jamari. But we gonna after Jamari's question, we gonna veer back to your love, to your second love, or I don't know if it's the first or second, but we gonna get back. But go ahead, Jamari.
Well, I'm kind of I'm listening to what you're saying about meeting the needs of the community. So how do we, I guess, change the stigma about charity into our how we view nonprofit in our community? And then on top of that, how do we learn to control the flow of money, both nonprofit and other, into our community? Because that seems to be a big problem. You get to make the decisions of where that money needs to go and what needs need to be met. How do we get to expand that, I guess, is the meat of what I want to know.
Yeah. So your first question was, how do we change kind of like the
The
relationship?
stigma in the
Yeah.
relationship,
Yep.
yes.
Uh, and then the second question was about how do we uh
How do
how do
we
we
take control of that kind of money coming into our community? How do we get
yeah
to make that? How do we get more people like you making those decisions?
yeah uh okay, so the first one, how do we change that? Part of the problem is like part of the problem is I don't know, if you touch a hot stove, you burn yourself, right? Like no matter what, like if it if it lights up. So let's say now it's that stove is defective. It's even though it's lit up, it's not hot. Like you still gonna see that and be like, I don't know if I want to do. But so like that, we have a long history. It's not going to be easy to change because we have a long history of really of nonprofits making promises and not coming through. Uh, and so, like, we gift 1.5 million raised, right? Most of that money came from white people, even though our idea was about, hey, if we all came together and put in money, we can grow businesses ourselves. But and so I balance how critical I am because I understand, especially coming from nonprofit, being in the position I was at United Way, like I
Hmm.
remember going out and talking to other Black people about making investments and donating money to United Way. Like it was exclusionary. And so I think we have a goal of being really, really visible. So
Hmm.
that's why every time we give out a grant, we do a video about it. We make sure we put out our annual report on time. We make sure it's easy to read. We have a gift podcast where we're going to start talking to our grant recipients, and so transparency is a big thing for us, specifically because we are trying to build that. Like we've already done a good job of building trust in the Black community because we've done what we said we would do. But we want to create a culture of trust in the trust with nonprofits in the Black community, and so I think it takes time of seeing Black led nonprofits, or seeing nonprofits come through on their promises and do good in the community. And so that's just but that's a hard thing because there's been so much time of uh of like false promises. uh and so then the second question is, how do we get more Black leaders in the community that are actually making a difference and funneling money. uh i think I think part of it is education. One of the reasons that I wanted to like, it was really important to me that we grew and created a staff, uh, so that like I have no illusions that like I don't think our staff will be lifetime employees of Gift. I don't think that at all. But like our staff is, so we have 7 staff. 6 of our 7 are Black. Uh, and so wanting to create more Black nonprofit professionals. There are just not a whole lot of Black nonprofit professionals in general. And so it kind of goes back to access. So being out there, creating exposure, uh, as well as creating pipelines for people to get that education and get that entry into nonprofit. Uh, so like I mean, I guess those answers really go hand in hand. We need more, like we need a pipeline of people of young Black people getting into nonprofit, learning the business, and being able to get comfortable and grow with it, so that we can develop a more positive relationship in the Black community with nonprofits. Because yeah, we just it's gonna take a long time of seeing people do good stuff and produce and follow through. So yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, I like that answer. I knew you were going to come with something.
I don't really feel like it was a good answer. I feel like I
You
ain't
don't think
saying
no,
so?
you good.
I
I
like it
good, man. You
because
good.
one thing the comparison that came to my mind when you were talking about that you have to understand that by at least some of the nature of what nonprofit is, a lot of that money comes from exclusive places,
Mhm.
and you know in our history, especially in this country, one of the most well known births, the Harlem Renaissance was funded by white money. So that's what I immediately thought about that. So it's really that's why what you said resonated with me.
Yeah. What's up?
All right. So let's talk about your business.
Yeah.
Your profit, your for-profit business.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're getting there. You're getting there. I know. Trust me. Running a comic book company is
No, it's
it can be
profitable.
profitable. It
It
can
is.
be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not lucrative, but it's profitable.
Very, very true. I like that. It ain't lucrative, but it can be profitable. Very true.
Yeah.
So you got a Kickstarter going right now. Tell us about the Kickstarter.
Yeah. So I talked a little bit earlier about Black Spartans in general. So we launched chapter 1 back in 2021. Chapter 2 printed early 2022, and so now we're back with chapter 3. And so like the story of Black Spartans, again, it's One Piece meets Bleach meets The Witcher. And so the main character is Balbino, and he's building up his demon hunting guild called the Black Spartans. And so in chapter 1, you see like his introduction to the world and his journey kick off, and see a little bit of Luffy's my favorite protagonist, and so you'll see that in chapter. So not, I mean, he's not a carbon copy of Luffy, but you'll see some inspirations of that in chapter 1, and then in chapter 2, he gets his first real hunting job, and he meets Dionyta, so his who will eventually become his the first recruit in his hunting guild. And then in chapter 3, that like the first, like this is the kickoff of the first major story arc.
Okay.
And so the first 2 were basically one shots that introduced the world and then built upon it. And so chapter 3 is getting into some deeper world building, some deeper character development between the main characters. They meet Amara, and run into another demon hunting guild.
Okay.
That when I built Black Spartans, like in a world where you get paid to hunt demons for money, like everything's not gonna be like The Witcher, right? Like it's not gonna be they not all gonna be noble.
Right.
Like the better you are at hunting demons, the more money you make.
Right.
And so if there's another demon hunting guild out there that is kind of taking jobs from you, you might go after them, because there's no like
There's no
there's not a real legal system in this, right?
As Devon said earlier, crabs in a bucket.
Yeah. And so the more notable you become as a demon hunting guild, the more money you can make. And so it's some that are not in the profession for the right reason. And so they meet a demon hunting guild in chapter 3 that will be the first, like their first big challenge, and it'll be it's a four chapter arc that'll run.
Okay.
And Yeah.
So
So
how do you
kickoff?
okay? So how do you balance, right? Because you've got your full-time job, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure is a ton of work, seeing as how you're CEO, you're the head man at the table, like when you're the head man, you could work the long hours, you got all that. How do you balance starting a nonprofit and having and running a comic book company? Like, how do you personally, plus you say you're married, I don't know, do you have kids?
Yeah, I got 3.
How does all that balance? Because we in the same
So
boat.
so one, my wife is amazing. Like that's the like the real answer and why I can make this happen. Because 3 kids, like somebody is there, somebody got to be there, right? And so while I got here at 7:30 and I'm still here in my office right now, so she's like she's picking up for me. So like there's just that I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her. Uh, and then really just kind of compartmentalizing, right? Like uh, when I first wrote Black Spartans, I I wrote chapter 1. So I have a real like set system, right? So uh, I wrote like, and I'm assuming you might have a similar process, but I did a map of like all the major story arcs and obviously like wrote out the whole story. And then I went back and I wrote a synopsis for chapter 1, chapter 2, all the way through chapter 10.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I went to chapter 12. So I wrote a synopsis for all of that. And then like I wrote chapter 1, and anytime I had time, I just like kept writing all the way to chapter 6. And so I got my first 6 chapters just wrote and out of the way. So even though this is the Kickstarter for chapter 3, chapter 4, 5, and 6 are like have been done, have been written for a year. I just got to get them illustrated.
Yeah,
And
I feel
then
you. I got like I work in bullet points.
uh-huh.
So like I'll do one issue and then I'll bullet point it out. Like this is what the storyline is for that issue, and then whatever, like a really quick outline.
Yep.
And like this is the villain. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know what the motivation is for the villain. I was like, all right, this is the villain. I know I'm going to put in here because da 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 da. So for me, I've bullet pointed out. Last time I checked, it was like 50.
Oh man,
I'm bullet pointed out all the way to heat number 50.
that's what's up. That's
Yeah,
what's up.
but I've only written till what are we at? With number 2, almost. I've written up until I think 4 or 5.
Yeah. So
But
see,
my problem is I I will write up a whole script, but I do the art, and I will literally look at it and be like, no, I'm not drawing that. And then I'll change the script in my mind, and then I'll when I'm done drawing it, I'll go back to the writer's point of view, and then I'm like, that's not the same thing that I wrote. All right, now I got to
yeah,
change the dialogue so I mean, it's all different, but I hear you. I hear you.
yeah, yeah. And so like I uh I had to get those 6 out of the way. Because I mean, one, like you gotta you got to be in a certain mind frame to write. And so while I was in
Yeah.
that, I wanted to make sure I did that. And then we also have Reign of Chaos as like we did a Kickstarter for chapter 1. I just finished up writing chapter 2, and so that like I had a week, and I was like, all right, this like I need to get these just done and ready. So later on when they're actually being drawn up, I don't really have to focus on them. And then so uh, but because of the podcast, I met a bunch of writers and stuff. And so while like Black Spartans and Reign and Chaos are really anime manga type things, uh, we are doing some traditional like superhero comics, but the like caveat there is that instead of them being issue one, so like Michael is, and so that was the superhero show earlier, but Michael, yeah, is instead of it being issue one and issue two and issue three, like that's going to come out as a 60-page graphic novel, like all at once. And so I have 5 other writers now that are writing. And so there's 6 of us now, and all 6 of us are writing our own 60-page book. So I'm writing 60 pages for Michael, and R. Allen Brooks. Do you know R. Allen Brooks? He's at Denver. He's a good dude. He's professor of graphic novels at Regis University, and I asked him to write a book for me, and he was like, "Sure." So he finishes 60 pages like in 3 days. It was really annoying because I was like, bro, you're making everybody look bad. He finished 60 pages in 3 days. But when I was writing Michael, so at the beginning of the year, so beginning of the new year, I took that week off from like gift. I said, all right, I gotta knock this out this week. So I sat down and I did. I wrote those 60 pages, and so I compartmentalized, right? Like when I make time to do it and do it in that time, so I can get back to typical day stuff. And then there, like as you know, there's the whole business of comics as well. And so being at the shows and selling and trying to grow your audience online and selling and all of that. So
yeah, my problem with that, I'm right now, for me, the struggle is there's the creative and then there's the businessman, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm always jumping back and forth, and sometimes it affects the creative, because the creative wants to just sit down at my drawing table or sit down at my tablet or sit down at my laptop and draw, write, or color. But the businessman, I gotta update the website. I gotta do X, Y, and Z. And now I have to stop what I'm doing because I got a Comic-Con that I gotta prepare for. So I gotta update and get ready for the Comic-Con. Like tonight, I'm packing books. As soon as we get off the show, I'm bagging books, and then I'm packing up to get everything ready to go for the Comic-Con. So it's this tug and pull that maybe when I expand and I get some help, it'd be different. But like for me, I'm just trying. I always like to hear how other people balance like this, that creative, drive with the day-to-day, gotta pay the bills jobs, for those people that aren't doing it full-time, of course. Like we've had a couple on our show that are doing this full-time, like this is what they do. But for the rest of us that this is what we do on the side, it's always an interesting thing.
And so I really, really try to stick to that compartmentalization, and like when I'm at work, I try to be at work. When I'm doing Dark Moon stuff, I try to be focused on Dark Moon. But even in that, like there's like if I'm being creative and writing something, then I try to take the business side out of it and just write what I like. Hard. And then when I'm in my business mode, like I have a few scripts that I only wrote because my business brain said, yo, man, you can make an 8-page short and sell that at a show and people will want it like this. And I did. And then I'm like, I don't really want to do this.
I hear you.
It's not bad. I like this idea, but this is not the next thing that I want to be putting out right now.
Yeah.
And so now I got a bunch of scripts for like different stories that's just sitting there.
We gonna have to collab at a certain point, but it's 9:20, and I'm not gonna hold you because I'm trying to get you home.
Yeah.
So what we do on this show is at the end of every show, pick a topic and give you the opportunity to give us your top 5 of it. This ain't like the other show. We're not going to go too ham on you. We usually
I say you ain't gonna roast me for
nah. We ain't gonna roast you. We're not gonna roast you. So this one I did a little different, especially after listening, because I never know what the topic is until sometimes halfway through the show.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna give your list. I'm gonna give my list. Jamar's gonna give his list. Doesn't have to be in that order, but
cool.
Top 5 Black business role models.
Ooh.
In your head.
Black business role models.
Who you look up to, who you emulate, what black, entrepreneur or whatever that you look to when you need to get motivated to do what you do. Who do you think about?
Goodness. So, all right. First one is Donald Glover, Childish Gambino. Like, are we explaining? Or are we just saying?
You go ahead.
I mean,
you can explain.
He's just everywhere, right? Like the dude, multi-talented. He got his first Emmy from being a writer on 30 Rock.
30 Rock.
Yeah. And so dude did one stand-up special and it killed. And so like the music, his grind is like everything. Which is one of the reasons that he's on the wall.
Okay.
Kevin Hart, especially early Kevin Hart, you couldn't turn on a movie without. You still can't turn on a movie without seeing Kevin Hart. And so like he just everywhere. I guess I got a trend going. Jordan Peele. He's doing what he wants. He's making a name for himself. He's doing well and showing that like he can be up there with the great producers and directors and all of that. Even like starting off on Key and Peele, where you wouldn't expect this sketch comedy writer to go that far. So that's 3.
10 years from now, we're not going to even remember that this dude was on Key and Peele.
For real.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that. We still talk about Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
How old is Chappelle Show?
That's true. But I mean, Dave Chappelle didn't like. I mean,
he didn't start doing like sports commentary or something completely different than what he was doing before.
But like, it maybe just for the black community. Black community rarely forgets anything. Yeah. Steve Harvey's show still get talked about. Like real talk. People talk about Me and the Boys. Like I'm just saying. But go ahead. That's 3.
Gosh. Damn, this is bad.
Come on, man. Look around your room. You got like you said you got 50, 11
String a bell. I'm sorry. String a bell.
Okay.
The man was about his stuff.
Okay.
He was about his stuff. And like he was running this whole drug operation and he was also in business school.
Okay.
Like he understood that what he was doing was a real business.
That's right. Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. One more.
Damn, I'm trying not to sound bad. Nah, it's not a role model.
Somebody give you some help?
Kinda.
Come on, man. One more. Wow, that tough.
Damon John.
That name sounds familiar. Who is that?
Fubu.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Jamari, you got your list?
I'm gonna leave it alone. He named like 3 on mine, or like what I would have right now. One of mine popped up, and one of mine also popped up in
tell your list.
Noble Freeman.
I mean, that's cool. That means you got 4 easy.
Yeah, that's 4. So give us the 4 and then give me the 5.
Well, I'll say 3 for sure because let's see, you got Childish Gambino, because like I don't believe that man sleeps
for real.
Jordan Peele,
okay,
because not only is he able to create these very interesting movies, but he's clearly into expanding, and he's finding people who are also doing the same thing. So he's creating a space for them to spread as well. Jay-Z, because you got to remember what that dude started with. He was starting with rap that we know of, and this man is making billion-dollar moves. And I'm even throw LeBron James, who also is somebody who started with his one initial thing, and he's moved into nonprofits. He's making moves in multiple arenas and finding success in all of those.
All right, you got one more.
So, who else would be a really good option here? Let's see. I'm
gonna get some music for this segment, just so we don't have dead air.
You got somebody in sports. You got several people in entertainment. What is the gentleman's name? No, I'm not going to use.
Come on, Jamari. We got 3 minutes.
I'm gonna stick with 4 right now. I'm gonna start off with 4. If I come up with one over the next few minutes, go on.
All right.
I'm gonna let you go on.
All right. 5. Tyler Perry.
Okay.
I have always respected his hustle.
Yeah.
I have respected his I'm gonna do it without help, I don't need fair. Make your own table. I've always respected that.
Very fair.
Always respected that. Oprah. From where she started to where she is now, there's not a black person that's done more, in my opinion. And in during her period of time. So that's 2. And I know we're saying a lot of celebrities, but there's a lot of black business owners that don't get a lot of shine.
Right.
I'm gonna agree with Noble and say Bob Johnson.
Is that the real estate man?
Bob Johnson is BET, I believe.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Bob Johnson. Gotta go with you start BET, you basically shape the culture.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is now, you shape the culture. I honestly, I have immense respect for what Jay-Z has done with his career. I have immense respect for the fact that he was able to start here as a rapper, and then understand that rap can only take you so far, and then and then make his way into arenas and rooms that aren't normally for people that look like him or did what he did to get his money.
Correct.
And then I'm gonna give my 5 spot to somebody who I more recently, who just kills everything she does, and I just respect the hell out of her, man. And I would love to meet her and pick her brain. Issa Rae.
Oh yes.
Issa Rae, my goodness, to go from YouTube to making YouTube skits to basically HBO just giving you blank checks to do what you want to do, and then you create a show that literally just dominated the Black culture.
I don't think we're going to fully appreciate that show.
No, Insecure to me is a show. Yeah, you're absolutely
that's
right.
going to define another generation.
Exactly. It's going to define in my opinion, Insecure is going to define a generation for the same way for Black people, the same way that Friends influenced the generation. That's just me. So Issa Rae. Issa, if you want to do something, holla at you. Visually Stoked to Issa Rae. But we want to thank you, Mr. Calloway, for coming on a Stoked podcast. You gotta forgive me. I'm gonna be saying Visually Stoked a lot in the next 36 hours, so I'm getting a jump on it.
Yeah.
But we gonna thank you. I got the website for generating income for tomorrow. That's below right there, www.kansascitygift.org. So if you want to get more information on that, and then if you want to go check out his Kickstarter, you go on and get the link down there. That's for Black Spartans Book 3.
Yep.
And then even more, if you want to get more information from his company, Dark Moon Comics, it's darkmooncomics.com. So once again, man, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you again, and we definitely gonna have you on for our round table. I'm make it work. I had to get through this COVID, and I get through this last Comic-Con, and we gonna get some scheduling down. We appreciate you coming on. And honestly,
conversation.
Yes, and I respect and appreciate what you're doing, especially for the businesses in your community. A lot of people talk about supporting their community, but don't a lot of people do it. And you've put actions to words, and we appreciate and respect that.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming back. Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I was a little worried that you take a week off, people forget you, but you came back. We had quite a few people watching tonight. Probably here for Brandon. There ain't nobody here for us.
I hope we can get you back on because I still want to pick your brain about your love of anime.
Oh yeah, I knew Jamari. I knew we got short shift, but don't worry, we gonna make it happen. We gonna get you back on. I know, but I know when you heard about when you heard about anime, you were like, oh man,
anime roundtable, man. Hey,
we gonna make it happen. We gonna make it happen.
I'll be back to that too.
Yeah,
the stuff
we gonna make it happen.
Down about business was just like, hold on, the anime can wait.
But thank everybody. Thank you for stopping by for some more creative talk with creative people. Next week we will have. Man, I gotta check the schedule, y'all. We got Michael Charles. On the list. For those that don't know, this man is a singer. He's a businessman. He's a what does he do? What's the crypto? He's a crypto guy too. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to it. But until then, like I said, holla at me. I'll be at Fan Expo Boston. You got any cons you going to be at?
No, I just did Fountain City Comic-Con here in Kansas City. I'm doing one in Wichita in November. Can't remember the name of it though.
Okay. But like I said, holla at me at Fan Expo Boston, and you can talk to me. I like talking to people. Y'all have a great week, a great weekend, and we love you all.
Take it easy.